Well, hey everybody, John Rethlin here, and this is Hashtag Ask for Honesty, episode 23. And I got a bunch of great questions to answer here, which I will answer in a bit, though I do want to thank everybody for making this series so popular and supporting the channel. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for trusting me, a wrestling fan, to answer all other fellow wrestling fans' questions, and also questions about music or movies or TV shows, whatever. Thank you very much for that. And also, I do want to announce that if I have to scale back on any of these episodes in the next few weeks, I do apologize. I'm going to be, covering the New Japan G1 Climax tournament. I'm going to be busy with some other stuff. I'm going to be focusing on some work, but also be taking some time for my mental health and my physical health. Because, as some of you guys may know, especially if you've been following me on Twitter, I've been battling a kidney stone issue for the past few days. Do not worry. I'm going to pass it. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be okay. I will work through this. But if I have to scale back on any of these episodes, I do apologize in advance. However, I just wanted to tell you guys that. But you came here to get your questions answered. And leave a comment below this video if you want your questions answered. 3 to 4 max. Otherwise, I'll have to, kind of skip over the finer details of some of them. Same with Twitter in DM. Send me as many questions as you'd like. Though 3 to 4 max if you want them to get the most time. And then check the pinned tweets that I put up Tuesday and Thursday morning. Use the hashtag Ask for Honesty, wrestling, music, or movie related questions. But let's get on with the legendary JF has a couple questions. What is your favorite wrestler appearance in a TV show, movie, music video, etc.? Music video, I kind of like The Rock and I believe it was a Wyclef Jean video. That was pretty funny. TV show, Undertaker in... It wasn't the Friday the 13th series. I think it was the Hour Limits or something like that. It was really... I don't remember exactly, but it was very, very odd. Vader from Boy Meets World would actually probably be the one that I could really think of. That was pretty cool. The Rock hosting SNL, I actually really enjoyed that, even though that, I guess that doesn't necessarily count, even though he's a host. Movie, you can mention Batista and The Rock and that kind of stuff, and Triple H from Blade Trinity, which I actually think he did fine in. But I'll point out Jericho in one of the Sharknado movies, I think it was Sharknado 3, and then also Kurt Angle in Sharknado 2, Electric Boogaloo. So I'll throw those guys out. And also Kurgan. He was in a couple of the Sherlock, or he's in, I think, one of the Sherlock Holmes movies. And, yeah, other than that, I can't really think of too many. I mean, I'm sorry if I didn't answer that in great detail, but I wanted to go for more obscure ones. And I kind of popped for the Jericho and Angle appearances in the Sharknado movies. But second question is going to be easy to answer. Do you watch Stranger Things? If so, what do you think of Season 3? Have not seen Stranger Things. Have not seen it at all. Sorry, haven't seen it. Heard it's good, haven't had a chance to watch it. Maybe on a day off or whatever, I'll take a day and I'll binge watch season 1 and I'll binge watch season 2 another day off and I'll binge watch season 3. But right now I just simply don't have the time. I got a lot of stuff to do. But I've heard season 3 is good. I don't know. I haven't watched it. Abby VX, top 2 dream matches you wish could have happened. If HBK versus Eddie Guerrero would be one, I just think it would have been a really good match. And Sting versus Taker at WrestleMania 27. Other than that, I mean, you could throw out Barry Windham versus Bret Hart, but I would say Eddie and Shawn Michaels, and then Taker and Sting. Because at least in 2011, there might have been a little bit something to it. I don't know if it would have been great. It would have been a hell of a lot better than what we may be getting in Saudi Arabia. And don't be surprised if they actually do that match. I would not be surprised. It would be ridiculous. It'd be a fucking atrocity, but they will probably end up doing it, and we will end up hating it. And the reason we'll end up hating it is because this whole overarching story of, all this stuff going on, and it's not something we need. There's, a whole overarching story of, the Monday Night Wars and the Phenom versus the Icon. And I don't want to see two guys that are, in the case of Sting, who I think is almost 60 or is 60. And then, actually, let's see, 40. No, I think he's 60. Yeah, I think he's 60 this year. 60 or 61. And then Undertaker. I don't really want to see it, but that's probably what's going to happen in Saudi Arabia. But to answer your question, it probably would have been Sting and Undertaker and then HBK and Eddie. I'll throw in Bret and Barry Windham. Muta versus Bret Hart is something I always wanted to see. I just thought it would have been kind of cool to see. Other than that, there's a lot, but it's then it's kind of getting into fantasy booking of taking a person from their prime back in the day and then now. But Bret versus Kurt Angle, if Bret had not gotten that concussion, I would like to have seen Bret come back and wrestle Kurt Angle. Even if Brett would have been like 43 years old at that point, I think he still could have put on a great quality match. So those are a few matches. And then Jeremy 8-9-11. If booked right, do you think Imperium and Undisputed Era could both be big deals on the main roster? Well, yeah, sure. And I mean, if a bullfrog had wings, it wouldn't bump its ass on the ground. I mean, that's an old saying. I'm not knocking you. I agree. Imperium would be great, probably on Raw, because I think they would. Well, Undisputed Era would probably be better on Raw. Imperium could be better on SmackDown, because Imperium I think is built of more of the wrestlers. Not that Undisputed Era is. Undisputed Era is a little more character driven. Either or, you could swap them. And yeah, if booked right, sure, it would work just great. The problem is I don't see Vince booking those factions correctly. And yes, okay, you could say Heyman's on Raw, he's in charge of creative. And then Bischoff's Bischoff's, in charge of SmackDown and stuff like that. Okay, they may be booking stuff different. Vince is still gonna have the final say. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I don't see I wouldn't see either group being booked all that well. Undisputed Era maybe, but probably only Adam Cole, Bay. Imperium, I wish I could see them doing well with them. But yes, to answer your question, in a perfect world, they absolutely could be dominant and they could do really goddamn well. So, I mean, here's hoping, but do I see it happening? No. In a perfect world, absolutely. And then Zach Donegan, with rumored matches that were supposed to happen at WrestleMania 22, Taker and Angle, but it happened in No Way Out 2006. Eddie and HBK, Cena and Trips, which did happen. Batista versus Orton, Edge versus Foley. Do you think that could have been the greatest WrestleMania of all time? I mean, yeah, if you include those other two matches, if Eddie hadn't passed away and you had gotten Eddie and HBK and you'd gotten Batista and Orton, sure, yeah, and you'd gotten Taker and Angle instead of Taker versus Mark Henry. All due respect to Mark Henry, but no, wouldn't want to see that. Yeah, I don't know. That would be a pretty hard, five-finger death punch to beat. And yeah, I threw that reference in there. It'd be very, very hard to... It might equal WrestleMania 17. It might have eclipsed it. I mean, it's hard to tell. We'll never know. That being said, WrestleMania 22 actually was a pretty damn good show. It wasn't great. It wasn't great all the time. It had peaks and valleys. Now, it was a pretty damn good show overall, and I think it's a pretty underappreciated WrestleMania. But yeah, if Eddie and HBK and Taker and Angle and Batista and Orton had happened, oh yeah. Fuck yeah. There's no doubt that could have been the greatest, or at least tied for the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And then his second question, if you were to create a new SmackDown 6, who would the 6 men or women you would choose be? Who would they be? And so if we're going with this, and Ben Doyle 101 chimed in, he says his choices were Andrade, Balor, KO, Nakamura, Black, and Bryan. I'm gonna take Nakamura out of that. It's just my opinion. I mean, I'm going to keep some of them. I'm going to take Nakamura out, and I'm going to throw Rusev in. I'm going to take Balor out, and I'm going to throw Apollo Crews in. Now, I know that seems a little bit odd, but it's like, Balor will be seen as a star anyway, but I wouldn't see them pushing him to the main event. I think Andrade, Crews, KO, Rusev, Black, and Bryan would actually be great. Now, you could take Crews, or you could take Rusev out, or you could take, Bryan out and put Rusev in instead and leave Nakamura in. But that's what I would do. As far as the women, see, the problem is you got so many damn women. You got women on there. I would do, I mean, because you have only so many women on the show. So the women I would feature, Sonya, I'd feature Mandy to an extent. I think Mandy has certainly improved. Charlotte would obviously have to be featured in there, and Bayley. So I would throw those 4 in there. Now, Ember, and I guess you could throw Ember and Liv in there. But then the problem is you have Kyrie and Asuka. You have the Iconics. You have a lot of people you could really book in there. So, I mean, I know it sounds like I'm just throwing everybody in there. That's kind of the case. If I just focused on SmackDown 4, and just 4 women, not the 4 horsewomen. Sonya, Mandy, Charlotte would have to be put in there. Actually, no, you know what? Sonya, Mandy, Bayley. No, Sonya, Mandy, Liv, and Ember. And it's not that Asuka and Kyrie aren't very good. It's not the Iconics aren't very good. It's just I would focus on some younger ones and not to say like Kyrie and like Kyrie's old or anything or that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying Charlotte is. It's just I would focus on some ones that are less established. I mean, just that would be just my personal opinion. So those are the ones I would choose. I would just do SmackDown 4 for the women. But then we get, don't get me wrong, all the other women I mentioned are pretty goddamn talented. And I would include Mickie James in there, except Mickie James is injured currently. And then Kylie VXX, who from the past and who from the present has WWE just completely dropped the ball on. How long do you have? Rusev currently. As far as like back in the day, Zack Ryder, in the 90s, I would say they didn't capitalize on Ken Shamrock nearly enough. I think Ken Shamrock could have been a WWE champion. Owen Hart should have been WWE champion. I feel they dropped the ball with him. Vader, I think Vader could have been WWE champion, should have been. The fact that he wasn't is pretty fucking, embarrassing. It's like, as far as like currently, I mean, there's Rusev. They keep doing stop-starts like with Andrade. I don't want to say they dropped the ball with Balor, but it's like they really aren't featuring Balor all that much. They've totally dropped the ball with a lot of guys like Cedric and Buddy Murphy and Mustafa Ali. And I know Ali got injured, so I mean, I get that. They got to build him back up. But it just like, especially with Buddy and Cedric, especially Buddy Murphy hasn't been featured at all. For the women, Liv, I mean, I gotta say that Liv hasn't been featured on SmackDown at all in like 3 months. They've kind of dropped the ball with her. I would argue they dropped the ball. I would argue they dropped the ball with Bayley's title reign. I'm not saying Bayley's great in the ring. I'm not saying that. But I think Bayley could be excellent as far as like, revamping her character and stuff. The problem is they aren't willing to do that. So I'll say Rusev, Nakamura for sure, Bobby Roode, Chad Gable. There's a lot of people like from the past and present and stuff like that they have dropped the ball on. I mean, you could go in minute detail and stuff like that and say that they should have given, that they shouldn't have given Diesel a nearly year-long title reign and everything. They kind of dropped the ball with that. But there's so many to list or whatever. And I mean, I know it sounds like I'm rushing through the question. It's not that. It's just there's so many running around in my head. Rusev for sure from the present. And I'll throw Ken Shamrock in for the Attitude Era. I think they really dropped the ball with Ken. Even though he's damn good, I think they dropped the ball with him. But now we move on to Valena, WWE. She has 5 questions here. One that will be pretty easy to answer. I mean, not that they aren't easy to answer, but as far as detail. But her first question, fresh off the heels of the highly discussed main event match at Slammiversary between Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan, what are your thoughts on intergender wrestling? And part 2, if WWE were to implement more intergender wrestling matches, who would be some credible women to do the job? Okay, firstly, I didn't see the Tessa Blanchard Sami Callihan match. I have a personal disdain for Sami Callihan. I do not want to watch anything really that he does. Now, I give Tessa Blanchard full credit. What I heard and what clips I saw, Tessa Blanchard is quite good, and especially at her age. She obviously has a pedigree for it. She understands what she's doing. She is very good. She's only going to get better. And I will say this. You and I were having a bit of a discussion. And you tweet out that Tessa should have won. I do agree that Tessa should have won because, quite frankly, Tessa's a wrestler. Sami Callihan's a garbage wrestler. And I know I'm pretty damn certain that there are people watching that are Sami Callihan fans that probably don't appreciate me saying that. Sorry. I'm not saying you guys can't be fans of him. I just don't like the guy. But as far as my thoughts on intergender wrestling, I will be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't hate it. I'm not saying it shouldn't happen. I get why it should happen in some instances. Sometimes I'm like, but a lot of times I pop for it because it's like, okay, cool. This is something I would like to see. It depends on when it fits the story. It depends on when it fits the feud. It depends on how well it fits into, storylines and all that stuff and everything. That's really what it depends on. What I saw, how they were building Tessa and Sami, it made sense. It's just Tessa should have won. Because I'm sorry, but it's just Sami. Sami's not good. He's not. Again, sorry that offends anybody, but he's not good. We then get, but as far as that, I'm glad that it got some buzz. I'm glad that Tessa got to main event in Slammiversary. That's great. I just wish she would have won. As far as part 2 of your question, I mean, again, my thoughts on intergender wrestling are what I just said. If it fits a story and it works, I'm all for it. I'm not against it. I'm not saying like it's the worst thing in the world. if it fits. And like somebody like Jordynne Grace, wrestling guys, could work because Jordynne's strong, powerful, is kind of not that Tessa isn't. Maria Manic, she's somebody tossing some men around. I could actually see legit being the case. Now for part 2, you're asking if WWE were to implement intergender wrestling, who would it be? And I was talking to Derb a little bit about this, but he thought if they ever made intergender tag teams, a team like Samoa Joe and Shayna Baszler would be quite good. And it would be quite good. Sonya Deville, I think, would be quite good at it. Becky, to an extent, if you want to go onto the whole man thing, and I'll talk about Becky here in a little bit. Charlotte's got the statuesque look about her. Lacey has a look about her. God, I'm trying to think about who else. Because I can't think of too many else, like too many Asuka. No, Asuka to an extent could. Because Asuka, has her powerful strikes and kicks and stuff like that. As far as women in NXT besides that, I mean, Io maybe. Io's talented enough. But as far as making it believable and everything, like, in the crazy world of wrestling, pretty much the women I mentioned. Shayna. Like, Shayna, I think, would be a good example of it. I mean, you could throw Ronda in there if Ronda ever decides to come back. But Lacey, for sure, I think Lacey could do pretty damn well. And Charlotte. Other than that, it's like, I mean, everybody else is not, it's not that. It's just there are some I could see working. Nia Jax, for sure, when she comes back from injury. There were people that didn't like the whole thing that happened in the Royal Rumble. I didn't like it because I didn't want to see Nia Jax again, but I totally get why they did it. So those would be some women I would throw out there. Sonya, I would like to see Sonya tangle with some men. I think actually it could work pretty well. But the people I mentioned, basically, because honestly, I could see intergender wrestling working in WWE if they actually decided to, roll with it and do some good shit. But there we go. Hopefully I answered that question well for you. Again, I think intergender wrestling could fit pretty well as long as the storyline suits it. Wouldn't hurt. Could pop some ratings. Question number 2. Who do you think is going to be Aleister Black's first opponent at Extreme Rules? Probably Randy Orton. It's probably going to be Randy Orton. I would be very surprised if it was anybody other than him. Orton could take a loss. You could do Matt Hardy. You could have Matt Hardy do it. And Matt Hardy could lose. I think that would be totally fine. Because Matt can take a loss. Somebody has been saying Bray. And like, no. Bray can't be it. Bray can't be it at all. Because Bray's going to have to build up some wins or whatever. And you want to eventually do that match? Sure, go ahead. It's probably going to be Orton. Orton or Matt Hardy. But I'll say Orton. Question number 3. Do you think Becky Lynch's title run will come to an end soon as her star power seems to be fading a lot these past few months? A lot of that is down to booking, but yeah, I will say that it has gotten a little bit stale, and that's unfortunate for me to say as a Becky Lynch fan. But yeah, it has gotten a little bit stale. I am disappointed by that. I don't think this feud with Lacey Evans has done either of them as many favors as I think creative originally thought. And that's not nothing against what Becky does. That's nothing against what Lacey does. They are two very, very fine performers. I think Lacey gets a bad rap, and she is quite good. Maybe not where they need her to be, but she is quite good. And her character work is spectacular. Becky is not the best women's wrestler in the world. And I mean, she's not even the best women's wrestler in WWE, not even close. She has great character work, though. Sometimes, some characters like that gimmicks just don't work. Now, that being said, I think the Becky Lynch's title reign will probably come to an end at SummerSlam. I don't expect it to come to an end at Extreme Rules. I would just be very, very surprised if it did. As I think it would be kind of a weird show to do a title change, but, I digress. Yeah, it has cooled off a little bit, and I'm a little bit disappointed by that. And also, them driving the whole Seth and, Becky dating thing, we get it. They're dating, they fuck, we don't care. But they're driving it into the ground, and it's actually getting a little bit irritating. So that's going to help cool off her character quite a bit. Because, sure, Becky and Seth are dating. That's great. That's fine. No, nothing wrong with that. But it's not going to help if that's all. If that's the main selling point of their characters. If they're just dating, and that's what they're saddling Becky with, and that's what they're saddling Seth with. I hate to say it, look, just, I mean, I'm happy for them as a couple. We really don't need to be seeing that. I know that that wasn't part of your question, but that's pretty much what, you know, I'm going with, because they have cooled off her character quite a bit, and it's really cooled off in the past few weeks. Then you can say it's cooled off in the past month as well, and that's fair, especially since the whole thing of, oh, Becky and Seth are dating. Okay, we get it. We don't care. But yeah, I can see her title reign ending in SummerSlam. I don't think it'll end at Extreme Rules. I don't know who she's going to lose it to, but I could see it ending. It'd probably be Shayna Baszler. They might call Shayna Baszler up. Who knows? Question number 4. Did you see how impressive Nyla Rose was during her during the triple threat match at Fyter Fest? She shocked the fucking world. I was very impressed with what Nyla Rose could do. She was able to do a lot more here than she was allowed to do at the Double or Nothing 3-way that turned into a 4-way match with Awesome Kong, Britt Baker, and Smiling Kylie Ray. I was very impressed with what she did. I mean, especially given the, you know, agility she has. I mean, I'm not saying she's like, oh, huge or whatever, this kind of stuff. I mean, she's clearly bigger than Riho and Yuka Sakazaki. But then again, I think you could put those two women together, stop thinking that, and I would be bigger than them. And I've lost weight recently, but Nyla was very impressive. The agility she showed, the power she showed, I was very, very impressed with what she did, and I can't wait to see what else she does. Apparently, she's not on the Fight for the Fallen card. Hopefully, she's given a big match at All Out, and that the women are given prominent roles once the TV show starts. Because after All Out, it's only going to be like just about 5 weeks until they go to their TV deal, or, you know, their TV deal kicks in, and I'm very, very excited for that. I hope that Nyla Rose continues to rise as a big star. She has been very, very impressive. And yeah, I was very, very happy with what she did. And certainly glad she got a chance to shine a whole lot more than in that 4-way match. Not that it was bad. Not that it was bad. But you had two monsters and you had two smaller women, and eventually it just got to where it wasn't a clusterfuck. It just, I don't think it got the point across that they meant to. But at, you know, Fyter Fest, she was able to shine a whole lot, as were Yuka and Riho. So everybody got their shots in, but Nyla certainly impressed me quite a bit. And then question number 5. In your personal opinion, who has the worst gimmick in WWE and AEW currently, and why? AEW, Michael Nakazawa. Nakazawa. I mean, the baby oil stuff and everything. Okay, we get it. I could almost say Joey Janela, but I don't get it with Joey Janela. I just don't. I don't hate the guy. I don't hate him. I just don't really care for the guy. I don't really like him. I love Jimmy Havoc. Jimmy Havoc's pretty damn cool. I got to meet him last year. That was really actually, yeah. God, I got to meet him last year. Wow, that was a long time ago. But I'll say Michael Nakazawa or Joey Janela. As far as the women, none of the women really. The former Super Smash Brothers, the Dark Order or whatever, I think that's a pretty shit gimmick, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I know it just has really started, but I think that's a pretty shit gimmick, to be honest. It reminds me of Final Sacrifice, the hooded cult guys and everything. As far as WWE, I hate to say it, No Way Jose, and I feel bad for saying that, but No Way Jose, he's basically just a jobber to the stars. I like No Way Jose. I think No Way Jose is great. I think he's fantastic, but he's just a jobber. I'd say most of the 24/7 shit, but, you know, that's just kind of lumping that stuff in. As far as women, they really need to change Bayley's character. They really need to. I would say Bayley has the worst gimmick going. I would say she does. Becky, people could throw Becky's thing in there, you know, gimmick in there, the man gimmick if they want, and that's fine. I think what's making it more cringy is the whole, you know, she's dating Seth. We get it. They fuck. But as far as like cringy gimmick, I'll say Bayley, and I really hate saying that because I love Bayley. But I'm picking one man, one woman. I can't think of any women from AEW that have a really bad gimmick. I haven't had a chance to really, well, Brandy maybe, because Brandy just is kind of there, but it is what it is. So yeah, Michael Nakazawa, the Dark Order, Joey Janela from AEW, and then Bayley and No Way Jose from WWE. And I feel bad for saying that because I like both of them. But No Way Jose, they just have him job all the time. And Bailey is essentially, you know, the same person. They need to really revamp her character. She's going to have to turn heel at some point. It's just, the title reign can work, but she's going to have to turn heel. And then we get to Bio Burrow's 6 questions. And don't worry, some of these are going to be pretty easy to answer. So some big movies coming out soon, like Lion King, Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, Joker, Terminator, Dark Fate, Charlie's Angels with Patrick Stewart, which was news to me. I didn't know that. And Rambo: Last Blood. Are you excited about these movies listed? Can you rank them from most to least excited about? I'll be perfectly honest, I'm not really excited about any of these. I'll say Lion King, by default, I'm most excited for, though I don't think it's going to be very good. Charlie's Angels I'll throw is right below it. Fast and Furious or Fate of the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, Terminator, Dark Fate, Joker, and then Rambo 5 I'll throw down at the bottom because Stallone should not be doing these kind of movies anymore. Sorry, he just shouldn't. I gotta be honest, I'm looking more forward to It Chapter 2, Electric Boogaloo, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I'm looking more forward to stuff like that. I will probably be backing off on the movie reviews, at least the theatrical movie reviews, for the next month or so. I need to see what this hospital bill is going to be, like how much my insurance is going to cover, and we'll see. But even if it covers quite a bit, I want to kind of back off on these theatrical reviews, because really, besides Crawl, and even then, I don't really want to see that. There isn't anything coming out that I really want to see. But out of these 6, by default, I'll say Lion King, even though I really have no desire to watch it. And then question number 2, what are your worst experiences staying in hotels, B&Bs, and worst experience dining out? Never really had any bad experiences in hotels and bed and breakfast, mainly because I don't travel that much. I've been in 2 hotels, and that was in Ocean Shores, and that's a little town on the ocean. I know, shocking. And both experiences were fine. Both times I went to the same hotel. Very nice Asian couple that ran the whole thing. And very, very cool. It was a family business. And they were very, very friendly, very cool. I don't think the parents spoke as good of English as the kids did. And they were nice, don't get me wrong. I'm not sure if I came across as nice or not when I was talking to them. But the kids were super cool and everything. And the only other time I went to a hotel was Boston. And that was 2010. That was fine. I enjoyed my trip in Boston. And in worst experience dining out, there was one time I went out with one of my girlfriends, and I think it was a Red Robin. I think it was. But we went in there, we were told to seat ourselves and that the staff would be with us. And it was 25 minutes went by. Like about 15 minutes, somebody came by, took our order for drinks, never brought back the drinks. And it was like 15 minutes later. And it was just water that we ordered. And I finally just said to her, I said, we're going to go. We're going to go, oh, no, wait, let's wait. I said, no, we're going to go. And I didn't give it a bad review because it was 2007, so I don't know if Yelp was around at the point, but I didn't give them a bad review, though I would have said, you might want to have the staff actually check on the people because it wasn't that busy. There weren't that many people in there. But other than that, no, nothing really. I've really had some pretty good experiences. Also, I don't eat out all that much. I usually get pizza to go or I get food to go and I just go home. Question number 3. In your opinion, who are the 5 hottest women's wrestlers of all time? I'm going to pick 5 off the top of my head. I mean, it's nothing personal against any of them because there's so many beautiful women now. Beautiful, talented women, and not necessarily in that order, talented and beautiful women. Victoria, I've always had a major crush for, and she's also very, very talented. Victoria, I'll throw Becky on there because Becky captivates me. Asuka is an absolutely enchanting woman. I will throw Sherry Martel on there. Sherry Martel was an absolute dime. Like, even into later WCW. And do I throw Lita in there? No, Victoria threw in there. I always had Ivory back in the day. But yeah, I don't know if I want to pick a 5th person. Io Shirai I'll throw in there. Really, it's like it's if I just base it solely on looks, I could pick women that weren't necessarily that good in the ring, but I wanted to pick women that are talented and also beautiful. So that's the best I could do. But Victoria for sure, because Victoria looks great even into her early mid 40s or something like that, she looks just as good as she did 15, 20 years ago. The woman's ageless, and good for her. I mean, and she said, I really wish they would have included her in the 2019 Women's Rumble, since she said this is going to be her last full year. Would have been really nice. Even if it wouldn't have lasted that long, would have been really nice to see. And then let's see. So question number 4, sorry, I lost track of what I was writing for a second, or what I wrote. What do you think about the Studio Ghibli animated movies? Are you a fan? What are your 3 faves? He picks Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, Secret World of Arrietty. I haven't seen all of them, admittedly. I do say that right now. I do own 3. I do own 3 of them. And I'm going to show them. Wind Rises, Howl's Moving Castle, and of course, Princess Mononoke, which I would like to remind people is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. If I did a favorite movies of all time list, Princess Mononoke would be in there. And it wouldn't just be number 10, it'd be like number 8. And I might do that list at some point and talk about my favorite movies, but not just favorite horror movies. But yeah, I'm a fan of them. I haven't seen that many of them. There are others that I have seen, but those are the ones really that leap out to me. So Princess Mononoke for sure, though, is my absolute favorite. So, and then Howl's Moving Castle, and there are a couple others that I could throw on there, but I'll say Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle, and The Wind Rises, since I own all 3 of them. But Princess Mononoke for sure. And then question number 5, a few obscure submission moves. Submissive moves. What are your thoughts? The Brock Lock, the Batista Bite, and the Tajiri Tarantula. I don't recall the Batista Bite. I don't recall it, so it must have not been all that memorable. The Tarantula I popped for, I thought was pretty cool. The Brock Lock I liked, but the problem is whenever he tried to attach it or put it on somebody like Rey Mysterio, it just didn't work because Rey was too small. The Brock Lock was devastating, but he could only put it on certain sized opponents. I like the Tarantula. I'm just not sure how effective that was. Brock Lock looked like it could really hurt because Brock was really just that goddamn deadly. Batista Bite I'm not really all that familiar with, though. So then we get to the 6th question and final question of this episode. Why do you think British Bulldog is still not in the WWE Hall of Fame? To answer that question first, I really don't know. I really don't. I'm not sure if they're waiting to induct the entire Hart Foundation. I think maybe they don't want to induct the British Bulldogs given what Dynamite Kid did outside the ring and inside the ring. Even as talented as he was kind of a dick. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe they feel the British Bulldog's career does not warrant him being inducted on its own. I think that's wrong because I think British Bulldog is quite good, but I digress. I think that's probably the reason. Maybe the reason is they don't feel he's worthy, which I think would be stupid if that was the case. And the second part, do you think Owen Hart and Chris Benoit will or should ever be inducted? Owen will be at some point. Benoit should not be. I'm sorry, he shouldn't be. I don't care how technically, and I'm not knocking you for asking, but anybody that says, oh, Benoit should be in. No, he shouldn't. Why? Why? Because of all that, because of what he did in the ring? Great. And I hate to say this, but if Benoit had committed suicide, which I'm not advocating for, maybe he would have gone in. It would have been tragic, but he would have gone in. He killed his wife and child. Whatever mind he was in, he killed his wife and child. I mean, they put Jimmy Snuka in. I mean, Jimmy Snuka killed his girlfriend, stuff like that. And I'm not advocating for that at all. But no, Benoit should not go in. He shouldn't. No matter how great how technically impressive his career was, how great he was, he shouldn't. Owen should go in. If it takes inducting the Hart Foundation as a whole unit to get, and I mean the Hart Foundation is a stable, to get even Pillman in there, then I'm all for it. I think Owen should get an induction on his own, but personally, I think the only way to do it would be Brett, Jim, Bulldog, Pillman, and Owen, which is sad, but I think he will get in, but I think it's going to be a while before that happens. Bulldog, however, should be in. I don't know why he isn't. So thanks, guys. I really hope I answered your questions in as great a detail as possible. Again, I do apologize if I had to rush through some of these, but some I was like, I didn't really have all that much to say. So I will try to do these every week as long as I'm able to, as long as my health holds up and everything. If If this kidney stone, this kind of stuff takes a bit of a dive, I'm just using these last couple minutes to explain this. If it takes a bit of a dive, I do apologize in advance. And I'm also going to be taking some time for my own mental and physical health. So sometimes I might scale back on some of this stuff. But anyway, agree, disagree with what I said. What do you guys think? And again, leave your questions in the comments, 3 to 4 max. And then that way I can get to everybody's questions. But I don't know when I'm going to be answering these questions. Probably not. Maybe later this week I might do another episode. But other than that, it might just be the one a week. But anyway, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you soon.